Hello out there, welcome to Public Conscience. This is the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMONG. PRIMONG is a civil society group with the mandate to promote good governance, participation and accountability in Nigeria. I am Okiria Agbosu-Remi.
And I am Adaobi Obiabumo. Welcome to the program. On Public Conscience on Radio, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society through the amplification of corruption stories reported by our partner media organization and drawing government and citizens' attention for democratic actions against it. We are supported by the MacArthur Foundation.
Today, we still have in focus the massive interactions of financial regulations by government agencies as reported by the Auditor General of the Federation. We told you last week that the 2017 audit report alone indicted hundreds of MDAs, while 436 MDAs were reported to have declined to submit auditor reports or accounts as required by law.
Some other agencies were found wanting in the report for making deductions from Federation accounts without authorization, non-remittance of percentages of internally generated revenue and other similar infractions.
According to the breakdown of the Federal Audit Report, hundreds of government agencies were indicted for the failure to remit generated revenue, irregularities in payments and expenditure, irregularities in contract awards, execution and payments, and unretired loans and advances.
Nigerians last week on this program, through phone calls and messages, lamented what seemed to be lack of implementation of recommended sanctions by the Auditor General. It remains worrisome that some punitive actions are not seen to be taken against those indicted MDAs.
For the records, the CSG report talking about the Center for Social Justice that has tried to break this thing down for the understanding of the citizens. For the purpose of the record, CSG report says that 5.785 trillion was illegally deducted by key federal revenue generating agencies in 14 years. That they drew this from the report of the Auditor General. That they also said that failure in revenue generation and remittances by MDAs gulped 16 billion between 2014 and 2017. That non-remittances of percentages of internally generated revenue and unspent funds, talking about unspent funds into consolidated revenue fund, also gulped 141.2 billion between 2014 and 2017. That Nigeria lost 370.55 billion on irregularities in payments and expenditure between 2014 and 2017. These are unending list. The list is so long.
Agencies involved in this cesspool of misappropriation cut across paramilitary agencies, the legislature, executive, and even the presidency. Top of the list of indicted MDAs are NNPC, DPR, and FIRS. On the long list are also Petroleum Equalization Fund and the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs.
A lot of federal institutions, universities, and research institutes are also involved. And in a bid to better understand the challenges and efforts of the police, of the Office of the Auditor General in ensuring proper accountability of the MDAs, we made frantic efforts to see that the Auditor General or a representative from his office joins us today, but it hit the rocks as they neither did they respond to our invitation nor gave reasons why they would be available. And so we are here today without anybody from the Auditor General's office.
But here in the studio, we have the founder of the Center for Social Justice, Eze Onyekwere, to shed more light on the recurrent reports of financial infractions in the MDAs. Welcome to the program.
My pleasure.
Who else can better tell us if not somebody who has taken his time out? His organization has been working over the years to get a study of the Auditor General's report, and we are glad to have him here. Welcome to the program, sir.
My pleasure.
And for you out there, please get ready to join us through phone and text messages. We'll be giving you the phone numbers shortly, but it is one event that is continuously happening. So is it an event? Well, it's an occurrence. We have the MDAs running above the law in several cases, and we need to begin to point them out, and that is why the program is here. It's about you. It's about us. So you must participate. You should participate. So get ready to join us through phone or text messages.
Please follow us on our social media platforms at Official Primorg. Primorg is spelled Primorg, and we are streaming live on Facebook at Official Primorg, and you can watch our videos on Primorg TV. That is Primorg TV, which is our YouTube channel.
And we want to encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube page. The reason is that you get reminders when we have a new post. The WhatsApp number to call, our phone line to call, to actually send a message to. This is not a phone line to call actually. The WhatsApp line to send your messages is 090-2265-6167. That is 090-2265-6167. Remember that this is just for messages only, and you can begin to send your messages right now so that your input, your suggestions and your ideas can be part of the program.
Back to our guest in the studio. The above reports indicated that there are agencies that are above the law. They have never submitted any report since they were established. Could you please give us an overview of the situation with regards to the federal audit report?
Well, let me start by saying that the functional purpose of audit is that we are able to know through the Auditor General's office about infractions of the law and policies governing public finance management, and that we are able to know early enough to nip them in the bud. The ones we are not able to nip in the bud, that Nigerians will be able to get admissions that people violated the laws, get compensation for the violations, let the money that was mismanaged get back to Treasury, and get guarantees of non-repetition as to the future course of events. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we don't have that scenario. We never get a return of monies stolen back to the Treasury. We never get an apology. We never get guarantees of non-repetition. So the audit function becomes a perpetual and continuous exercise in report writing. The Auditor General writes a report, is there. PSC do their own hearing, write a report, it is there. So the challenge is that the political will to get violators of the financial regulations, the Fiscal Responsibility Act, the Public Procurement Act, and even clear breaches of the Constitution. For instance, Section 80, talking about the Consolidated Revenue Fund, and then the section setting up the Federation account, talking about how monies should go in there and how it should also leave. They are violated on a regular basis, but nobody ever gets sanctioned and nobody ever gets punished. And you know, the first page of this report you are talking about talks about the big players. And top on the list of the big players is an NPC. And the NPC is directly under the control of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is a Minister of Petroleum. The other person there is Minister of State. So how can we be complaining that this agency, which he directly supervises, is violating the Constitution? And nothing is happening. Even if the National Assembly were to invite them over, and they say, well, we're taking instructions from the Honorable Minister, and you know who the Honorable Minister is, what will you do? So it is a clear case of impunity, gross impunity. Look at the first one, 5.785 trillion. Of that 5.785 trillion, an NPC accounts for 4.501 trillion. DPR, 334 billion. FIRS, 951 billion. And we are looking for money to fund the budget. If this money alone were recovered, it could pay for the deficit in the 2020 federal budget before we even begin to talk of other infractions and violations. So, what is happening, like the Auditor General said, some agencies did not even report. Some reported and were indicted. So if you report, you are indicted, and so much noise is made about your name. If you don't report, The list of those who didn't report was not even stated in the Auditor General's report. So nobody even knew. They say 100 people. They don't know whether you're included or not. So it is even, there is a negative incentive. Those that are not reporting have an incentive not to report because they are not named and shamed. They feel that the people that report are the people we are finding fault with, right? So if you don't report at all, how do I even know what has happened? So there is a negative incentive, all right, not to report in the first instance. So that is the challenge we have.
Now let's go to, because these figures are mind-boggling. Let's try to get the listener at home to understand what
5.75 trillion is.
Now, these illegal deducted sums by key federal government agencies, including NNPC, DPRO, Federal Inland Revenue Service, which came to 5.785 trillion. Where is the money from? Where is this fund? When they deduct it, what do they use it for?
Well, I'm not in a position to know. I don't work with them. The Constitution is clear. The Fiscal Responsibility Act is clear. If you raise money as FIRS, you have an enabling law which gives you the cost of collection, a certain percentage. If you exceed that, that means you took what doesn't belong to you. So it is clear. An NPC, the same story. Money you bring should go to the Federation account, which is a distributable account to be shared by the three tiers of government. And we had arrears of money that the call charges that they were having with all these private oil mining companies that has not been paid. Federal government had made a special arrangement to be using excess, what they call excess oil, to pay it. So the 1.8 million barrels they say we do a day, there is more. There is like 200 or 300 extra which they are using to pay for the backlog. So these monies is only those in charge, if you manage to drag them down here, that they can explain to Nigerians. And once you take what does not belong to you, I don't know what name to call it.
You know why I'm asking? Because we have to be as practical as possible. Yeah. We have heard the CBN governor, the former CBN governor, former Emir Sanusi. We have heard some public officers talk about how those in authority go to the CBN, take money.
Yes.
Take to just money that has not been, they just take it and use it. Is it possible that agencies of government are actually at the beck and call of political office holders to just say, give us money? I just want us to be as practical as possible.
The practicality is that they said every money you make as an NPC on this account, pay it into the Federation account so that it will be shared. And you publicly declare that you've made 100 billion and you paid in only 70. And everybody's asking you, sir, 100 minus 70 leaves you with 30.
Yes,
where is the 30 billion? And you say, oh, I've spent it. These challenges, I had cash calls to make from the other companies. You know, these joint ventures Nigeria is running.
Yes.
They said, okay, since we are running it together, we need to dig up these wells or do this. You bring 10, out of 10 billion, you bring 5, I bring 5. But I am saying that as at now, all those previous obligations, they have been made good by getting these oil companies to accept joint venture cash call, to accept petroleum, oil, crude oil, and go and sell and withdraw their money and get their money back. So why these things are still happening since the administration came into being is something we don't.
But if you are even talking about
that's an NPC.
If you are talking about an NPC, what about the Federal Inland Revenue?
Federal Inland Revenue, I cannot explain, because if you read the reports, they have not been able to contend to show that the Auditor General reported wrongly. They've not been able. It's a question of clear cases of impunity. And moreover, the law says who should do what. Auditor General's duty is that after you finish your business, he comes to look at your books, right? And when he looks at your books, he issues a query if he's not satisfied with what he saw. When he issues a query, he gives you time to respond. And it is only after your response is not satisfactory that he writes about it in this report we are now citing. He doesn't behave like EFCC or any of these highly politicized institutions that do trial in the media. They have sound professionals, they have accountants, chartered accountants, they have forensic experts, they have lawyers, they have engineers. They work quietly. So by the time they come to your office, nobody even knows. They will finish, issue the query, give you some time. So for them to have come up with this report, I must state that they are a credible institution.
if the Auditor General over the years has always come up with the report,
Yeah.
how come these irregularities are still prevalent in the system?
Because there should have been a follow-up to the Auditor General's report. Okay? The follow-up should have been, if you are indicted, the Auditor General has finished his work.
Yes.
Where is the EFCC? Where is the ICPC? Where is the Attorney General's office? Where is the police that should do further investigation and prosecution? So the Auditor General does not have power to prosecute. So if he's convinced that you have mismanaged money and you couldn't also explain it to the Public Accounts Committee in either the Senate or the House, the person should face prosecution.
Now, one of those agencies that had some infractions, which we reported last week, we tried to get them on this program. That is the Nigeria Law School. It was a very small amount. We were using it to show an example that is not just trillions and billions.
Yeah.
About 32 million were distributed.
And you call it a small amount?
No, I'm only saying that compared to what we have.
He who is faithful over a little shall also be faithful over much. That's
and
what
the law school is particularly an example because that's where you train
lawyers
who are also to help
ethics,
us. Yes,
decorum,
yes.
law itself.
And the takeaway from my interaction with the law school, they were very forthcoming. They called to say this is their position, is that we have already explain to the Auditor General. They go to the Public Accounts Committee.
What did they explain?
They just explain and say, look, these funds, we didn't pay it to one person's account. It was meant for staff. But were you entitled to it? Though we have sorted it out with the Auditor General's office and we are now free. They actually sent us a press statement detailing how. Who actually even follows up, like you say? How do we get to know that what the Auditor General has reported when they also answer to queries? Yes, when they answer to the queries, when they actually sorted out.
Now, the Auditor General submits his report to the National Assembly, who now hand it over to the Public Accounts Committee, which is a constitutional committee. It's one of those few committees created, National Assembly committees created by the Constitution. As a committee of the National Assembly, either the Senate or House, when they finish and write their report, those reports are supposed to be submitted to the plenary, committee of the whole House for adoption. Because if you are a committee of the Senate, your report cannot become the report of the Senate until you report back to those who sent you and they adopt your report. Unfortunately, it appears most of the previous reports of the PACs in either the House or the Senate, I don't know whether they've adopted them. But that is the second leg. Even after that, most times things are not resolved. That's why I'm saying that this should be prima facie evidence with these prosecuting and investigating agencies can begin to take to go forward.
The process is not too long. Okay, it goes to the Public Accounts Committee. The police will say, let the Public Accounts Committee do their job. Meanwhile, before it even gets to the Public Accounts Committee, it's already 2 years.
2 years after.
2 years or even 3 years.
But that's the lack of political will. Did you not read that the gentleman who left the National Assembly, the clerk, who was asked to leave in the last couple of weeks, where there was heated politics and there were entrenched interests, it was reported that he took away some cars, which you will also see. Like the former chairman of the Civil Service Commission and some VCs took away SUVs, totally. But because there were people who were vested with interest, I knew that in the last 1 week or so, EFCC was reported to have descended on him, asked him to go and bring back the cars. The police can as well do that. ICPC. So
they do that? It
is the lack of political will. So somebody felt like, I want to teach you a lesson. Not that he wants to teach me a lesson wrongly, since maybe I want you to leave and you cannot do this. So on that 1 month, they've gone after him and said, my friend, you have to bring back these cars. You cannot go with this.
So if there's no vested interest, nobody follows. Because the Chad Basin Authority was also one. I think it was also where
took some
cars away. We are not aware if somebody was sufficiently angry.
I don't think those vehicles have been recovered. I do not think those vehicles have been
I'm
recovered.
taking a look at here on page 10 of your report, where you have non-remittances of percentages of internally generated revenue, unspent funds into consolidated revenue account. We have 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017, with a long list of defaulting agencies that have been asked to refund.
Why I believe most of them haven't refunded. We wrote to Federal University OAuGFs. One of our lawyers in Ekiti wrote to them, and they've responded.
276
They have
million.
responded, and we filed, trying to deny things, and we filed a suit, and we are joining issues already in court, Federal University of OAuGFs. So they have not returned it. The point is that most Nigerians do not know that there is no small government agency. Let me use that word. Quote me. The place where you think there's no money, you will marvel when you bend down and look. Universities are complaining that they don't have money to build hostels for students, to build libraries, to just the basic teaching aids. They'll say there's no money, but who will know? We've already also joined issues in court with University of Abuja. Their own is over 600 million.
603.
600 and something. And then to add insult to injury, one of the agencies we sued went and hired the senior advocate of Nigeria. With public money, my tax money. I pay more tax than whoever is in charge of that place. I do.
Because we have Nigeria Embassy in Washington, D.C., 578
went and hired a senior advocate of Nigeria. Now the question is, should it just be an agency accused of mismanaging public funds will now go and use about 10-15 million to pay a senior advocate to come and enter suit? In what is the headline, what is the budget line in their current budget that authorizes them to spend? As at the time they were making the 2020 budget, did they foresee that CSJ was going to sue them for them to be able to cough out, say, 10-15 million to give? What I'm saying, which budget line in 2020, which was made last year, authorized them to spend that money maybe in the last 2 months?
Now we have even agencies that you don't even expect to, yes, when you think they should live above board. Yeah. They are all retaining money, and they don't all through the years. You yes. have them running all through the years. It's like a normal thing. Now we have those that, like you said, we don't even know what they do because they don't even file in their accounts.
Yes.
Now, if you go deeper into your report, there were some, including the report of the Auditor General, we have recommendations. Now, the question is, what do you think is stopping the federal government from going after defaulting MDAs and individuals after the recommendations from?
Now, the interagency collaboration we've mentioned is that, yes, Auditor General is there, yes, PAC is there, there's police, there's EFCC, there's Code of Conduct Bureau, there's ICPC. These people are supposed to be collaborating to look at information available from one another to see Auditor General has finished, next steps. Now, the other arm leg of the pillars of integrity includes civil society organizations and the media. These things, that collaboration should be there, even if for nothing, for naming and shaming. If we can't get the money back, let's name and shame. And that's why if you go on Twitter and on social media, we are doing some campaign with the hashtag Return Our Money, where we are listing all these groups. We say, Managing Director, please return this to Treasury. If you're angry about what we say, sue us. And justification is a defense in law. If you say I've libeled you or I've slandered you. So we're asking them to return the money.
Unfortunately, in most of these cases, those who were in office when these infractions were committed
have left.
They have on, like in the case of the law school, they are like, this was actually, you mentioned the media. This our report and our focus on this was actually sparked off as a result of the cable focus on some of the aspects of the Auditor General's report. So we also went through it and we read it. But many of them are not in the office. When you get there, they tell you, oh, it was the former DG that did it. Yes. So where do we go from here?
An institution is a continuum. Most of them are incorporated by acts of parliament. It's like a company, CSJ, any company at all. Are you going to say that if an offense has been committed, as I'm the lead director, therefore if I leave, that offense is no longer committed? If there is a board and they say, oh, you people have mismanaged money, you go back and call the person to account. Time is not running against the state. You carry the vehicle, return it. If you are driving it to so much bad condition, we assess what was then and ask you to return the money's worth as at that time. I think what is even the challenge is that, you see, when a problem or a challenge exists, the expectation is that reasonable men, if it continues and you think this is a problem, you should sit back, ponder, and come up with suggestions and solutions to the problem. And that's why some of even the recommendations here are not necessarily that of the Auditor General. Some of them are what we think should go forward. For instance, if universities are being asked to return $1 billion or $2 billion, and they've always complained that there is no money, if I am the Accountant General of the Federation or the President, because I simply don't believe that anything is rocket science, we have started TSA, right? I will have sub-TSA accounts. For instance, University of Nigeria and Soccer, I will give you 5 or 6 accounts. one is for school fees, one is for hostel fees, one is for these sandwich courses you are running, about 5 of it. Publicize it on the net, publicize it to students, buy pages of newspaper. So all the money,
We'll go
the universities will go direct. And so once it comes direct, in all the accounts, we aggregate it at the end of the month, is 100 naira. We are entitled to, federal government is entitled to take 25%. We take 20, we sweep it and return your 75. If you now have any objection, come back for us. So you are not touching the money in the first place. But all you will need to do to make sure that they don't run into fiscal challenges is that at the beginning of the year, before anything happens, you now give them something like 2 or 3 months running costs before they start making those IGR. So I'll give you 3 months running costs, and all the money you make is swept in. So I don't allow you to touch the money and then start telling me stories you have spent it. I'm the owner. I get the money as government and then tell you this is. But before, as people are paying, I'm sure you have your own records. You know, when somebody pays into that account, he will come and submit for you to let him into the school, right?
Yeah.
So you have your accounts, I have my accounts. So government should get the money, take what belongs to them, hand back the remaining. If there's any discrepancy, you have evidence to show that 100 million has been swept into the account and government is saying we got only 70.
One of the recommendations also that a public officer who fails to respond to the Auditor General's query satisfactorily within 21 days for failure to collect revenue or remit shall be surcharged and transferred to another schedule.
I am quoting, that's the financial regulation. Yes.
You also have where an officer fails to give satisfactory reply to an audit query reply within 7 days. There are days. These are just days. We are not even talking of years or months.
There are days. Government regulation. Yes. The financial regulations are made pursuant to the Finance Control Management Act.
And they even said it shall be handed over to either the Economic and Financial Commission or Independent.
So this has the force of law. It's not just an ordinary regulation. The minister was given powers. The minister was given powers under the Finance Management and Control Act to make this regulation. So this can be the basis for prosecution. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. So it's not just an arbitrary thing. They're there. But who cares? Who cares? I'm just imagining if the Honorable Minister of Finance or His Excellency the President, if he's really fighting corruption, why don't he grant some of us these powers, even pro bono, to say follow up on these people, give me the mandate to be filing, just get rid of all lawyers and sit down and craft these charges.
But talking about
and get a special court, sit down 2 or 3 judges and hammer these people. You hammer them. Everybody will sit up. Give me 3 or 4 lawyers who good prosecutors around. Set aside 2 or 3 judges. Work over 3 or 4 months. This money
many lawyers are even willing to do this free of charge.
I say I will volunteer to be part of the team to do it pro bono.
But talking about agencies with the prosecutory power, page 13 of the report, the NPF Plateau Command also invested. Yes, Plateau Command.
Oh, you can see.
We have the Nigerian Prison Service 2015 and the National Assembly. Senate and House of Rep. So now my question is, where
Senate is involved. How will PAC? How will PAC? Who is they going to someone? The Public Accounts Committee will summon the Senate President or the Speaker, or maybe they summon the clerk.
And to what end?
And the clerk comes out to say that he was acting on instruction of the higher authorities, and you know who the higher authorities
are. And who is the chairman of the committee that was summoned?
So what must citizens do at this point to help cop all these irregularities?
That is what we are doing. We don't need to be tired of talking.
Even the presidency.
We don't need to. The presidency even did not remit withholding tax. The presidency did not remit withholding tax and VAT.
They built a barrack. For the 2017 report without any no procurement, nothing.
So where do you
as a report by the Auditor General? We are not talking about any.
It's one CS or one. One according to maybe if Lai Mohammed is here, he say it is disgruntled element. I hope he will not close down this radio station by the time we finish.
What is the way forward? What should citizens do? What should the CSO do? Who should take the steps?
My brother, there's so much impunity in the country. We need to roll back the stone. We need to roll back the stone. How do you roll back the stone? Those who have been mismanaged these resources, if they are political office holders during elections, vote them out.
You shouldn't vote for them.
If they are not, seek their recall if you can. If not, use your rights to protest, which is recognized by the Universal Declaration and our Constitution, that there is a right to protest against tyranny, against those who steal our money while our children cannot go to school, against those who steal our money while our mothers are dying because of lack of maternal and child care. So Nigerians should exercise that fundamental right to peaceful protest, because what I'm doing here is like what is written in the Bible, shaking off the dust from my feet. We've been talking about this for the last over 20 years. Nobody's hearing. No, I'm sorry. I'm shaking off the dust from my feet as evidence, not against Primo, but against all of these people who continue this despite all we say. They will be in their houses not today.
Let's get the listener out there to be involved. Of course, it is an interactive program. All right, the way we have a caller on the line. Hello.
Hi, OAuGFs.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, my name is Raymond. I'm calling from Itama.
Thank you very much, Raymond. Go ahead.
Well done to your guest. I always appreciate him. He speaks so well. He's very able to articulate all these points. Hello, Joma. Sorry, I know you're there. Very quickly, I wanted to respond to the issue about vehicles to start with, right? If you can imagine that someone is appointed into an office and he comes in and finds out his predecessor went away with 2 vehicles. He has 2 things to do, two decisions to take. He can take either of them. One is to report the matter and get those vehicles back in, right? Which is a normal thing to do, especially the person who left not entitled to those vehicles. But when you look at it from the perspective that he might be thinking of when he too is about to exit, what should he do? So he might likely not report the person so that he too can do the same. That's number one. Or, as you know how Nigeria is, he will allow those vehicles to go so that they can approve more money to buy new vehicles. We know how those things happen. So it is very difficult, I believe, to reclaim things like that. And then going over to the issue of the fight of corruption. Right now, you're asking here, who will do what? Do you understand? Who will do what? Who will take charge? Who will follow up? When you have a situation where even the presidency has been indicted in this report, the Senate is indicted in this report, ICPC, like you said, prisons, police, everybody has basically been indicted. Who is going to do this job? Nobody. Is it the president? What is the moral ground for the president? How will the presidency now say, come, the rest of you fall in line, when they themselves have issues hanging above around their neck concerning this matter? Do you get my point? It's difficult. It's unfortunate because this fight the corruption this government says they are doing, how else can you do it? Your guest is there now already reading out very simple things, like you said, it's not rocket science. Very simple things that can be done. But who is going to do it? The Senate cannot do it because they are also indicted. The presidency will not do it. They are also indicted. ICPC, police, everybody is indicted. So who is going to do it? I'm sorry, we're just going to keep shouting until, like you said, maybe we elect someone who comes in the first slate and tries to do this thing. But right now, we can just keep talking and keep, pushing as we are doing right now. Maybe somehow, somewhere, something is going to change. But, let's keep our fingers crossed.
All right, thank you. I don't want us to dust up just dust up our feet like my guests want. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you very much, and please turn on the volume on your radio.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak on this topic.
Thank you so much. Your name and where you are calling from?
My name is Steven. My name is Oluche Opanachi. I'm calling from Abuja.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I like the passion of the lawyer in your studio, and the topic he's talking about. You see, what John has said, what he's saying is common knowledge. But my challenge now is that he's speaking like a lone voice in the wilderness. Okay, can you imagine? It's when I tune to this your station as I'm here, I'm getting all these facts. Do you understand? So how about enlisting Nigerians, the people that are most affected, the common people on the street? I don't know what name you should give it, whether it should be a political party, but anything, any massive campaign that can bring this thing to the fore, that will have a kind of because of bad governance. See what happened in Mali just last night. So we need mass movements to bring this into the fore. If this need be go to the street and have this report being displayed publicly as we organize mass protests, so that we can begin from the presidency there. Because I believe that if the hammer hits the head from the very top, it will cascade down. We just have to change this from this revelation. We can see that Nigeria actually have no problem. We have no problem with resources. It is poor management of resources, and outright stealing with effrontery.
Thank you very much. Outright stealing with effrontery, impunity. My guess says just absolute impunity. The MDAs, they say nobody can ask us any question. We spend the money, and like you said, no MDA is too small. When you get to know the ones you don't even know, some of these MDAs, almost 1,000 of them now, from the Orosaye report era, when we had about 500, we are nearly 1,000 now. What you have going on in the MDA is just simply impunity. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Good morning. And where are you calling from, sir?
I'm Chris by name. I'm calling from Abuja.
Go ahead, sir.
Thanks to your guest. He's really doing a very good work. I really appreciate his effort. But in Nigeria, to be sincere, I don't think anybody is fighting corruption. I think what they do is media trying to tell people they are fighting corruption and they are doing nothing. So if you look at these people, everybody is indicted. Who is not proving who? So there's a book, Animal Farm. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. That's what I think they are doing. Because who you say you're fighting corruption and you are even part of the system. Look at what happened in EFCC. Look at what is happening in Nigeria. The person fighting corruption is even looting the resources. But I just pray God will help us in this country. And I thank your guests. I really appreciate the effort. They should keep it up.
You can get to us and be part of the program. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Please tell us your name and your location.
Yeah, my name is Olatunji. I'm calling from Wuse too.
Thank you very much, Olatunji. Please go ahead.
Yes, it's so sad that every time, we discuss about this country, what's really happening in this country, and then, if really we have leaders that have the good conscience and have the interest of the electorate at heart, at least you pick one of all these issues and say, okay, let's even solve one to even please these people. Because at the end of the day, they benefit more than every other person in this country. And they're just a very small fraction of the large population of this country. A lot of them live their lives abroad, and these are people that are supposed to govern us. You pick NNPC, you pick every aspect of this country you pick. You see there's nothing, working to half capacity. You understand?
What do you think? Do you think there's something that ought to be done? Is there something that is not being done? Are we looking at the direction of the president himself?
Okay, now,
the president appeared to be fighting on all fronts. He will issue executive orders for local government, for judiciary, and the president seemed to be there. He's fighting, but it's like the army against him is so much.
Let me come from this angle. When Obasanjo was president, there was one thing they were clamoring from. We need to diversify the economy. Please, that was like 20 years ago. Have we diversified the economy yet?
No.
So that is what I'm saying. We keep saying we need to, but we are really not doing anything. We just come and speak big English, speak grammar a lot, and there's nothing happening.
What do we do? Let me just take that from you, your last contribution. What do we do in this instance where you have the MDAs, all of them have irregularities and outright impunity?
Now, sir, you see, if you build a system, are you building the system to function or to fail? It's for the system to function. What is there? The Nigerian system cannot function because it has been intentionally truncated to fail so that some people, very few people will benefit from it.
That's not very encouraging if the system, but we understand that what you are saying is actually the truth. We have a system that needs to be fine-tuned and adjusted. Let's take the last call. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Your name and where is your location?
Okay, my name is Frank Chete. I'm calling from Apo, Abuja. I must thank Mr. Eze Onyekwe for his continued efforts. I am one of his students in these matters. And I must quickly say that I will quickly ask him by saying that we know how much the difficult circumstances in which he is working, yet he's able to produce all of these results. The question, therefore, is how much can the center that he is the lead director use the process of judicial review, particularly with the use of the process of mandamus, to compel the prosecution of all of these violations. We know from the even by the Supreme Court, in the case of Ganifa Emi and Akilu, that it is possible to compel the prosecution of even a third party because you are an interested citizen. So one would have how so far has the center been able to compel the ICPC, the police, the EFCC, and any other agency to prosecute these same persons if the center cannot do the prosecution?
And I want to ask you if there are things that can actually be done by the NBA, by the club of lawyers, some civil society groups that are specialized in like SERAP, like those who are actually going out. Is there anything that can be done that every year when we get this report, just like what OAuGFs is doing, we go to court to ask these people to, for whatever, even for the nuisance value, to get attention to it? Is there anything that can be done that will achieve results in this area?
Yes. For example, Center for Social Justice has an arsenal of information exposing impunity, corruption, and outright violations of financial regulations in this country. Now, let it not be only for sensational reasons alone. If the center goes to court, which is what I am advocating, if the center goes to, it's enough now. It's not enough, I would say, that these things have been exposed. All of these painstaking efforts have been put into exposing these forms of corruption. But go to court. They go to court and ask. You are not taking the person who has committed the offense. Take ICPC. Take EFCC. Those persons who are statutorily responsible, carry the two of them to court. Let them face the embarrassment of failing to do what they are statutorily created for, what they pay salaries and huge capital vote for every year. Let it be clear to the world that they are going to court to resist Center for Social Justice because Center for Social Justice has called them to do their job. That is the next stage we should get to. So they should be glaring to these two prosecuting agencies, EFCC particularly, ICPC. Why have you not taken these pieces of information that Center for Social Justice has come up with? Then the world will now know whether or not we are fighting corruption. If it has become a national consensus that we should allow people to steal and go, and when they are caught, they are asked to say, go and see no more. Let it be so. But my appeal, and which is the form of question to Mr. OAuGFs, is that let us now confront ICPC and EFCC directly and ask them to prosecute. And if they fail to prosecute, then some of us can now go on protest asking that they should resign. It is not enough to say Buruta and the rest of them should resign because we are not winning the war against insurgency. We should ask the EFCC chairman, whoever it is at that time, or the ICPC to resign for failing to act on this kind of pieces of information and revelations that have been made by Center for Social Justice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You want to quickly respond to?
Yes, I want to quickly respond. We have about not less than 25 suits in different courts.
Cases in different courts.
Arising from these reports. I've mentioned the one in Ekiti.
Yes.
There's also one in Imo State that are doing. There are some outside. They are not necessarily the in-house lawyers alone are doing. So, but the point has been taken. This does not command front page news. Even when you file the cases and give it to the media. Yes. But in the next couple of days, I will ask the lawyers to update the litigation docket, which I will forward to you, showing you the number of cases. There are not less than 20 on these audit reports. But of course, you are not going to force a judge not to do their usual time wasting, okay? When these cases come up, whether it's a priority for them is another ballgame altogether. Even ordinary freedom of information, which is supposed to be summary proceedings, you could just finish in once or twice. The average judge will tell you to go and put them on notice. After proof of service is being shown to them, say, go back and put the Minister of Justice on notice and all those stories. So you see them dragging on for 1 year, 2 years, things that should have ended in 3, 4, 5 months.
Okay, we'll continue to advocate, and I'll also promise you, Center for Social Justice, that Primong will also partner with you to bring these to the fore on through our radio programs, and begin to let the public understand which case is in court. We'll take them one after the other, and they begin to explain what is happening. We will not be committing any offense, telling people what is happening in court, who has been taken to court over what. We'll work that one out and begin to let the public to understand. But now we must go, Adaobi.
Yes, it's been a robust discussion with Eze Onyekwere, the Executive Director for Center for Social Justice. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.
I would encourage all of you to please visit the news page of our website, which is news.primorg.org, news.primorg.org, for all the details of our reports and interviews. Visit our website, primorg.org, to get all the information about Primorg.
I want to tell you that Primorg is P-R-I-M-O-R-G, P-R-I-M-O-R-G, so you get it correctly. And we appreciate Mr. Eze Onyekwere of the Center for Social Justice for joining us on the program.
Public Conscience on Radio is supported by John T. and Catherine D. MacArthur Foundation, which is committed to building a more just, verdant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation at its website, macfound.org.
Join us again next week for another edition of Public Conscience. And remember to follow us on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Official Primorg.
And I am Adaobi Obiabomo.
I'm Okiri Agbonsuremi. Remember to join us next week when we come back on the same station. And we encourage you to also continue to send us your messages even after this program through the platforms we have explained to you. Stay blessed and stay away from trouble.